My family's twisted plot to replace me backfired in the most spectacular way. From the moment I opened my eyes, I was destined to be a letdown. Not in words, never in direct accusations, but in the subtle, cutting glances my parents exchanged when they first laid eyes on me. They dreamt of a son, a legacy, and instead, it got me, Jenna, their firstborn daughter. Maybe the next one will be a boy. I overheard them whisper, a silent promise of redemption hanging in the air. But there was no next one. Complications during my sister Kate's birth robbed my mother of the ability to have more children, shattering their dreams of a son and leaving me feeling like a constant, unspoken disappointment. Growing up in our perfectly manicured suburban home, I quickly learned that Kate was the golden child. She knew how to twist my parents on her little finger, basking in their adoration while I learned to rely on myself. I had the essentials: food, shelter, education, but emotional warmth was a luxury I rarely experienced, a constant reminder of my inadequacy. So I built a fortress of self-reliance, brick by solitary brick. I'm going to study economics, I announced one evening, a flicker of defiance in my voice. My parents exchanged loaded glances across the dinner table. Are you sure, honey? My mother questioned, her voice laced with thinly veiled disapproval. That's such a technical field. My father nodded in agreement. What about something more suitable for a young lady? Teaching, maybe, or nursing. I stood my ground. I've already been accepted to state university. My grades are good enough for a partial scholarship. My mother sighed dramatically. Well, I suppose it's your choice. Predictably, Kate, still in high school, smirked from across the table. That's wonderful, sweetheart, my mother exclaimed, turning her attention to Kate. You've always been so good with people. I knew better than to fight for their approval. It was a battle I could never win. So I focused on my future, on escaping the suffocating atmosphere of our home. State University was a revelation. During orientation week, I met James. He was a senior in the economics department, his eyes sharp and intelligent. One day, I clumsily dropped my statistics textbook, papers scattering across the floor. I've seen you asking all the smart questions in class, he said, helping me gather my things. I blushed, unused to anyone noticing me in a positive light. You're not annoying at all. Actually, I was wondering if you'd like to grab coffee sometime. I could tell you about the upper level courses you'll be taking next year. That coffee date turned into dinner, which turned into movie nights. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen and appreciated. James didn't compare me to anyone else. He liked me for who I was. After he graduated, James took a job at Anderson Consulting. While I finished my degree, he waited for me. We decided to move in together, finding a small, cozy apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Mom, Dad, this is James, I said. During his first visit to my parents' house, my mother practically squealed. We're so happy to finally meet you. She launched into a barrage of questions. Will you be joining us for Thanksgiving? Christmas? My father clapped him on the shoulder. We've heard so much about you. Tell me about your job. Jenna says you're in finance. James began to speak about his career aspiration while Mom and Dad were more curious when he will be a son. He was instantly interrogated, asked about his plans for the future, and when he thought he might want to settle down. Kate, still living at home after graduating and unable to secure a boyfriend, seethed with jealousy. For once, I was the sister who had something she wanted, and she couldn't stand it. After a year of living together, James got down on one knee and proposed. I said yes immediately, and we decided on a small, intimate wedding, despite my parents' protests about wanting something more special. This is special, I insisted, my voice firm. It's exactly what we want. The ceremony was perfect, filled with close friends and family in a small garden venue. James and I exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other for the rest of our lives. We had a lovely dinner reception, filled with laughter and joy. But the questions started almost immediately after the honeymoon. So, when can we expect some good news? My mother would ask, her voice laced with thinly concealed desperation for a grandson. We're saving for a house first. We want to be financially stable before starting a family, I'd reply, trying to deflect their constant pressure. My father would shake his head disapprovingly. Your mother and I didn't have much when we started out. Every family dinner became a subtle update on their friends' growing families. Did you hear the Hendersons just became grandparents again? Another boat. Or the Smith's daughter just announced she's pregnant. Oh Jenna, isn't she perfect? Finally, after 2 years of saving, James and I bought our first house. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was ours. A few months later, my sister found out she was expecting. I'm pregnant, Kate proudly stated. But things didn't go as planned. Kate's flat stomach soon to pop. Its smart disappeared as soon as Kate started showing, leaving her alone and moving back in with our parents. But instead of this being a scandal or a source of shame, Kate found herself showered with attention and sympathy. Isn't she perfect? My mother would coo. Don't you just want one of your own? Jenna, what hurt more than my parents' constant pressure was watching James with Emily, Kate stood up. He'd get down on the floor to play with her, making silly faces, his eyes shining with genuine affection. James is such a natural with children. My mother would say pointedly, he's going to make such a wonderful father. Month after month, I endured their thinly veiled criticisms, their constant reminders of what I seemingly couldn't provide. James spent more and more time at my parents' house, playing with Emily, chatting with Kate, listening to my parents' endless pronouncements on family and legacy. He'd come home full of stories, his voice filled with warmth. Emily learned a new song today. You should have seen her dancing around the living room. Or, Kate made this amazing lasagna. She's really getting good at cooking. Each word felt like a knife in my heart, a painful reminder of my perceived shortcomings. I'd lie awake at night, wondering if he resented me for not being able to give him children, if he regretted choosing me. I was still trying to stay positive. These things take time, I'd tell myself, forcing a smile. It will happen when it's meant to happen. But when my mother found out we'd been actively trying for a year, she went into full panic mode. A whole year. Jenna, something's wrong. You need to see a doctor immediately. She started forwarding me contact information for fertility specialists, her voice shrill with anxiety. Finally, to get everyone off my back, I made an appointment. James came with me. Blood tests, ultrasounds, and more tests followed, each one a nail in the coffin of my hopes. Then came the day of the results. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'm sorry, Mrs. Chen, but you're infertile. James squeezed my hand, but I barely felt it. The doctor kept talking about options and treatments, her voice a distant hum. That evening, James and I sat in our kitchen, the silence heavy with unspoken fears. We can look into adoption, or IVF, I stammered, trying to hold back the tears. There are options, he said quietly, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and something I couldn't quite decipher. How could I face my family with this news? I decided to just get it over with, like ripping off a band-aid. Mom, Dad, I said during a lull in the conversation, I need to tell you something. I saw a specialist. I can't have children. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, my mother's face contorted with disgust. What kind of woman can't even do the one thing she's meant to do? My father wouldn't even look at me. I was just an empty flower. Kate sat there smirking. She had reached the ultimate position above me. Well, I guess we know who the real woman in the family is, she said sweetly, her voice dripping with venom. I looked at James, pleading with my eyes, but he remained silent, his gaze fixed on the floor. The tears came then, hot and uncontrollable. I pushed back from the table and ran out of the house, ignoring their calls behind me. After that night, I couldn't bring myself to go back to their house. But James kept going, spending time with Emily, chatting with Kate, listening to my parents' endless pronouncements on family and legacy. He'd come home full of stories, his voice filled with warmth. Emily learned a new song today. You should have seen her dancing around the living room. Or, Kate made this amazing lasagna. She's really getting good at cooking. Each word felt like a knife in my heart, a painful reminder of my perceived shortcomings. I'd lie awake at night, wondering if he resented me for not being able to give him children, if he regretted choosing me. It was a regular Tuesday when my world fell apart. I came home early from work, my arms full of Chinese takeout, eager to spend a quiet evening with James. But the house was empty and dark. His car wasn't in the driveway. I called his cell, no answer. I called again straight to voicemail. Then, my phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram. Kate Thompson posted a new photo. I usually ignored her posts, but something compelled me to click. There he was, James, sitting on my parents' couch, Emily in his lap, all three of them grinning at the camera. The caption read, "Family time with my favorite people." My hands were shaking as I grabbed my car keys, the rational part of my brain desperately trying to argue that there could be an innocent explanation. The front door was unlocked. As always, I slipped inside quietly, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst from my chest. Voices drifted from the living room. James, you know we think of you as a son already, my mother was saying, her voice drooping with insincerity. And you deserve to be happy. You've been so wonderful with Emily. And Kate, well, she's young. You could have more children together. Think about it. She lowered her voice, her words becoming a barely audible whisper. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be happening. I burst into the room, making them all jump. The scene was like something from a nightmare. Emily playing with blocks on the floor between them. One big happy family plotting to exclude me. What the hell is going on here? My voice came out stronger than I felt. James at least had the decency to look ashamed. But my parents were defiant. Jenna, my mother stood up, chin raised. We're just having an honest discussion about what's best for everyone. Best for everyone, I repeated, my voice laced with disbelief. You're trying to convince my husband to leave me for my sister. My mother scoffed. Well, someone has to think about James's future. You can't give him what he wants, what he deserves. She turned to Kate, her eyes filled with calculating malice. You get everything. Instead, he stared at the floor, a look of shame plastered across his face. James, my voice cracked on his name. I'm sorry, Jenna, he said quietly, his words barely audible. I want children, a family. Undeep developed feelings for Kate. Kate, I want you to get out. You don't belong here anymore. This is my family now. My mother's cold satisfaction. Kate's triumphant smile. All the years of marriage. A lifetime of family ties. All meaningless. Without another word, I turned and walked out, my heart shattering into a million pieces. I drove home in a daze, packed a suitcase on autopilot, and filed for divorce. I'll have my lawyer contact yours, I said coldly, my voice devoid of emotion. The divorce was quick and clinical. We split everything down the middle, the process as impersonal as the ending of our marriage. I found a small apartment across town and threw myself into my work, trying to forget. But social media had other plans. One morning, my co-worker gasped at her phone during coffee break. Oh my God, Jenna, I'm so sorry. She tried to hide her screen, but I already knew what it was. It's fine, I said, even though it wasn't. I hope they're very happy together. A year later, another announcement popped up. Welcome, baby Rose. My replacement had produced the daughter my parents always wanted. James now had his perfect little family, complete with Emily, who he adopted. I deleted all my social media accounts that day, determined to erase them from my life. But life has a funny way of surprising you. I was shopping for groceries on Saturday when my cart collided with someone else. I am so sorry, I exclaimed, mortified. It's alright, a deep voice replied. I'm Michael, he said, helping me pick up my scattered items. Can I buy you coffee to apologize for being a klutz? And suddenly, I was falling in love again. But this time, I was honest from the start. I need to tell you something, I said one night, my voice trembling. I can't have children. Michael took my hands in his eyes filled with unwavering love. Jenna, I love you. Not the idea of children, just you. If we want kids someday, I just want you. We got married in a small ceremony at the courthouse. No family drama, no expectations, just pure, unadulterated love. A year into our marriage, I started feeling strange, nauseous in the mornings, dizzy at all times. Michael insisted I see a doctor. Mrs. Chen, the doctor said, looking at my test results. Congratulations, you're pregnant. I stared at her in disbelief. That's impossible. I'm infertile. I have the test to prove it. She smiled gently. The human body is mysterious. Sometimes, diagnosed infertility simply wrong. It's rare, but it happens. Michael and I cried together that night. Tears of pure, unadulterated joy. I didn't tell my family. They had lost the right to share in my happiness. A few months later, Alexander was born 6 pounds old, perfect, beautiful boy, a defender of mankind. Looking at his tiny face, I felt nothing but pure love. No bitterness, no resentment, just overwhelming, all-consuming joy. Life has settled into a beautiful rhythm. We rarely ate out, preferring quiet family dinners at home, filled with laughter and love. One evening, we decided to celebrate at La Maison, an upscale French restaurant downtown. That's when I saw them. At first, I thought I was imagining things. My sister, Kate, with James. They were tucked away in the corner booth, but not well enough hidden. She was running her fingers through his hair, kissing him deeply, completely oblivious to the world around them. My hand shook as I pulled out my phone and discreetly took several photos, the dim lighting doing little to obscure their illicit rendezvous. There was no mistaking what was happening. Then, Michael touched my arm. Are you okay? You've gone pale. I showed him the photos. That's Kate with someone who isn't her husband. He knew our whole history, the pain and betrayal I had endured. Are you going to send those to James? My finger hovered over the send button. The temptation almost overwhelmed me. It would be so easy to shatter their charade, to inflict the same pain it had inflicted on me. No, I said finally, saving the photos to a secure folder instead. I'm better than them. A year later, Alexander was growing into a brilliant, beautiful little boy, with Michael's kind eyes and my stubborn chin. We were visiting a friend who lived in my old neighborhood, and I decided to take advantage of the nice weather by walking to a nearby park with Michael and Alexander. That's when it happened. Just our luck. As we rounded the corner by the local supermarket, there they were, Mom, Dad, Kate, and James. They saw us at the same moment we saw them. Their initial reaction was to turn away, noses in the air, pretending we were strangers. But then, their eyes fell on Alexander. My mother stopped dead in her tracks, her eyes wide with disbelief. Who is this? I could have ignored them, should have. But something in me snapped. I need to finally confront them, to finally claim my own happiness. This is my son, Alexander, I said, my voice steady and calm. Kate let out a harsh laugh. Oh, please. We all know you can't have children. Which agency did you adopt him from? I looked her straight in the eye, enjoying the moment. I gave birth to him 3 years ago. No adoption agency involved. My father stammered, but doctor said the doctors were wrong. I said, my voice filled with triumph. It happens sometimes. Rare, but it happens. And here's the proof. I gestured to Alexander, who was watching the strangers curiously. A grandson. We have a grandson. They moved toward us, my mother's arms outstretched like she had every right in the world to embrace my child. I stepped in front of Alexander, my body a shield. No, I said firmly, you don't get to throw me away like garbage and then claim my son as your grandson. You lost that privilege when you betrayed me. Kate's face turned an ugly shade of red as she watched our parents' attention focus on my son. Get over yourself. Jenna, so you managed to pop out one kid. Big deal. I got your husband. I gave him a real family. 2 beautiful daughters. Face it, I'm still better than you ever be. My hand was already on my phone before she finished her round. Speaking of family, Kate, why don't you tell everyone about your extracurricular activities? What are you talking about? She asked defensively, her eyes narrowing. I directed her attention to James. I pulled up the photos from the restaurant and held out my phone so that James, my mom, and dad could get a good look. Here's your loving wife having dinner with someone else. Do I have to say, Kate? Most people don't eat their dinner companions' faces. Mom and dad crowded around to look. Who is he? James demanded, his voice shaking with rage. Kate stammered. He's just a friend from work. Friends don't kiss like that. I observed coolly their spouses are at home with the kids. Kate, how could you mom castigated? After everything that I couldn't help but love. After you helped her steal my husband. After you threw me away because you thought I couldn't have children. Calm as quiet something. James and Kate were now screaming at each other right there in the parking lot. Come on, sweetie, I said to Alexander, taking his hand. Time to go home. We left them to their chaos, completely oblivious to the nuclear explosion we just walked away from. A month later, the community grapevine brought me the rest of the story. James, suspicious after discovering Kate's affair, found out he was the one who was infertile and had been all along. The perfect life, with all of the attention that Kate craved for, had now crumbled and was now in shambles. Kate moved back in with our parents, defeated and alone. They all tried reaching out to me after that. Calls, emails, even showing up at our house unannounced. Please, Jenna, my mother begged through the door. We made a terrible mistake. Let us be part of Alexander's life. He's our only grandson. You should have thought about that before you called me an empty vessel, I replied calmly. Actions have consequences. Michael supported my decision completely. It's about love, respect, and loyalty. They showed you none of those things. He was right, of course. Looking at my little family now, my wonderful husband who loved me regardless of whether I could have children, our home filled with laughter and joy, and I had everything I needed. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to have. Sometimes you have to build your own. I chose Michael, and he chose me. We chose Alexander. His first steps, his first words, his unwavering love. That's what real family means, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, after hearing everything that happened, I have to ask, do you think I handled this situation correctly? Was I justified in cutting my family out of my life and keeping them away from Alexander? Should I have given them another chance? Or did they forfeit that right when they betrayed me so deeply? I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives on this. And if you have ever experienced something similar, I would love to get your feedback.